Nia Williams stood at the edge of the Santorini caldera at 6 in the morning, watching the sun rise over the Aegean Sea, and thought, I came here to forget. Instead, I'm about to remember everything I was trying to leave behind. The villa behind her was still sleeping, white stone and blue shutters clinging to the cliff face like a prayer. She had arrived yesterday, one suitcase, one broken heart, one job offer that had appeared at exactly the right moment when London had become impossible. She had taken it without asking questions. Live-in housekeeper. Private villa. 6 months. Excellent pay. The agency had been vague about the employer except to say, he values privacy, he's rarely there, and he prefers staff who don't need constant supervision. Perfect. Nia had become very good at not needing anyone. She heard footsteps on the stone terrace behind her. She turned. A man stood at the villa's entrance, backlit by the interior lights, and even in silhouette he was striking. Tall. Broad-shouldered. The kind of presence that rearranged the air in a room. He stepped forward into the dawn light. Greek features softened by something else. Russian, she would learn later. Dark hair with strands of silver at the temples despite being maybe 40. Sharp cheekbones. Eyes the color of the Aegean at noon, impossibly, devastatingly blue. A face that belonged on ancient coins, all hard lines and classical beauty. He looked at her for a long moment. Then, you're early. His voice was low, accented, Greek vowels shaped by Russian consonants. I couldn't sleep, Nia said. I'm sorry if I disturbed you. You didn't. He came to stand beside her at the caldera edge, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and dark, cedar and sea salt. I don't sleep much either. They stood in silence, watching the sun climb. The sea turned from black to silver to impossible blue. The white villages on the opposite cliffs began to glow. I'm Nia, she said finally, the new housekeeper. I know. He glanced at her. I'm Alexei. This is my villa. Welcome to Santorini. And that was how it started. Two people standing at the edge of the world, watching the sun rise, both running from something they couldn't name. Neither knowing yet that what they were running from was about to become what they were running toward. If you want to know what happens when two broken people find each other on a Greek island and try not to fall in love, spoiler, they fail spectacularly, keep reading. Because this story is about to become the most beautiful, painful, passionate thing you've ever witnessed. The first week, the villa was called Oranu, heaven in Greek. It clung to the caldera cliff in Oae, all whitewashed walls and blue-domed terraces, with an infinity pool that seemed to pour directly into the Aegean. It was the kind of place people dreamed about and could never afford. Alexei Volkov owned it outright. He also, Nia learned from Yanis, the villa manager, owned 3 hotels on the island, a shipping company based in Athens, and interests in industries that Yanis referred to as complicated, with a meaningful look that told Nia not to ask further. Mr. Volkov is a private man, Yanis said on her second day, showing her the household routines. He comes to Santorini to escape Athens. He works from here but prefers solitude. You will see him rarely. When you do, be professional, be efficient, and do not ask personal questions. Understood, Nia said. What Yanis did not mention, what Nia discovered herself on day 3, was that Alexei's ex-fiancée was also living in the villa. Elena Dimitriou, 28. Gorgeous in the effortless way of women who have never had to think about being beautiful. Dark hair, olive skin, the kind of body that fashion magazines paid for. She had her own suite in the East Wing and treated the villa as though she still had rights to it. Which, technically, she did. The engagement had ended 6 months ago. Katerina, the cook, told Nia this over coffee on day 4, but Elena had refused to leave. She said she was giving Alexei space to realize he'd made a mistake. She said this while wearing his old shirts and drinking wine on his terrace. Alexei tolerated it with the exhausted patience of a man who had learned that some battles weren't worth fighting. The first real conversation. It happened on day 7. Nia was cleaning the library, a room that overlooked the caldera, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the most absurd view she had ever seen, when Alexei walked in with a laptop and stopped when he saw her. I can come back, she said immediately.
No.
Stay. He sat at the desk near the window. I work better with ambient presence. It's the silence I can't stand. She went back to dusting. He opened his laptop. For 20 minutes, the only sounds were the distant Mediterranean wind and the soft click of keyboard keys. Then he said, without looking up, "You're from London." Yes, but not originally. My parents were Ghanaian. I was born in London, grew up in Brixton. And you came to Santorini because he stopped himself.
Saudi.
Yanis told me not to ask personal questions of the staff. It's fine. Nia set down the duster. I came because I needed to leave London. And this was as far as I could get on short notice. He looked at her then. Really looked. Bad breakup? Terrible engagement, she corrected. I called it off 2 months before the wedding. Took me another month to realize he wasn't going to let me go quietly. Something shifted in his expression. Dangerous? Persistent, which is its own kind of dangerous. She picked up her cleaning caddy.
I'm sorry.
You don't need my life story. I asked, he said. Then, for what it's worth, I think leaving was the right call. Better a broken engagement than a broken life. The way he said it, with absolute conviction, made Nia think he was speaking from experience. Elena makes her position clear. It happened on day 10. Nia was serving lunch on the main terrace. Alexei, Elena, and a business associate from Athens, when Elena looked up at her with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. You're very attentive, Elena said. Alexei, darling, where did you find her? The agency, Alexei said, not looking up from his tablet. She's lovely. Elena's smile sharpened. Though I do think the uniform could be more traditional. Don't you agree, Alexei? Nia was wearing black slacks and a white blouse.
Standard.
Professional. Completely appropriate. Alexei looked up, looked at Nia, then at Elena. The uniform is fine. Leave it alone. Elena's smile froze. I was only trying to help. By criticizing my staff?
Don't.
He went back to his tablet. Later, when Nia was clearing the table, Elena cornered her in the kitchen. A word of advice, Elena said, her voice honey-sweet and razor-sharp. Alexei is kind to his staff. Don't mistake kindness for interest. He's just a generous employer. That's all you'll ever be to him. I'm aware, Nia said evenly. Good. Elena picked up her wine glass. Because I've invested 3 years in this relationship. I'm not letting a pretty distraction undo that. She left. Katerina, who had been listening from the pantry, emerged with a scowl. That woman, Katerina muttered. Poison wrapped in Dior. She's just protecting what she thinks is hers, Nia said. He's not hers. He ended it. She's just too proud to accept it. Katerina looked at Nia meaningfully. And if you're smart, you'll notice that he defends you more than he ever defended her. If you're enjoying this story and want to see what happens next, please subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support means everything to us as we continue bringing these stories to life. The evening swims. It became a ritual. Every evening at sunset, after the business calls were done and the villa had settled into its evening quiet, Alexei would swim. Not in the infinity pool, in the sea. There was a private cove accessible only through the villa's cliffside stairs, and he would swim there for an hour while the sun turned the sky impossible colors. Nia discovered this on week 3 when she went down to the cove to collect beach towels someone had left. She found Alexei emerging from the water, hair slicked back, water streaming down a body that. She looked away quickly. Sorry, she said. I didn't know you were here. It's fine. He grabbed a towel from the lounger. This is your villa too, for the next 6 months. You're allowed to use the cove. I don't swim much, she said. Why not? Never learned properly. Grew up in London. Not much call for ocean swimming. I could teach you, he said. Then caught himself. If you wanted.
No obligación. She should have said no.
Should have maintained professional distance. Should have remembered Yanis's warnings. Okay, she said instead. And that's how it started. Evening swimming lessons in the private cove, with the Mediterranean turning gold around them and Alexei's hands steadying her in the water and everything becoming exponentially more complicated. What they talked about. On the fourth lesson, floating on her back while Alexei kept one hand beneath her shoulders, Nia asked, "Why did you really end it with Elena?" He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because I realized I was marrying her for the wrong reasons. She was beautiful, connected, appropriate for my world. But I didn't love her. Not the way she deserved. Not the way marriage requires. And she didn't accept that. She thinks I'm confused, that I'm pushing her away because I'm afraid of commitment. His hand moved slightly on her back, sending electricity through her spine. She doesn't understand that I'm not afraid of commitment. I'm afraid of committing to the wrong person. What's the right person? Nia asked. Someone who sees me, he said. Not my money. Not my name. Not what I can do for them. Just me. The person I am when all the performance stops. Nia turned her head to look at him. He was backlit by the setting sun, his face in shadow, but his eyes caught the light. Those impossible blue eyes that she had been trying very hard not to think about. I see you, she said quietly. His hand stilled on her back. I know, he said. That's the problem. The night on the terrace. Week 5. A business dinner had run late. Elena had retired early in a sulk. The guests had left. Nia was clearing the terrace when Alexei appeared with 2 glasses of wine. Sit with me, he said. Please. I've been talking business for 6 hours and I need to remember how to have a human conversation. I'm staff, she said. This isn't appropriate. Nia. He set the glasses down. We're past appropriate. We were past it the moment I started teaching you to swim. Seat. Drink wine. Talk to me like a person, not an employer. She sat. They talked until 2 in the morning. About London and Athens. About family and loss. About his brother Dmitri, who had betrayed him 5 years ago and disappeared with 3 million euros. About her ex-fiancé Marcus, who had proposed because she was safe and called off the safety when she asked for actual love. About how they had both come to Santorini running from people who had hurt them. About how they were both terrified to trust again. At 2:15, Alexei said, I should let you sleep. I'm not tired, Nia said. Neither am I. He looked at her across the table. But if we stay here any longer, I'm going to do something inadvisable. Like what? Like kiss you. He said it plainly, without game playing. And I can't do that while you work for me. And I can't do that while Elena is still in this house. And I can't do that until I'm certain you want it as much as I do. Nia's heart was hammering. I do, she said. Want it. His eyes darkened. Don't say that unless you mean it. I mean it. He stood, crossed to her side of the table, pulled her to her feet. For one breathless moment they stood so close she could feel the heat coming off his body. Not yet, he said. Not while it's complicated. When I kiss you, Nia, I want nothing standing between us. No job. No ex-fiancé. No doubts. Just you and me and the certainty that we're both choosing this. He stepped back, walked inside, left her standing on the terrace under the Greek stars, completely undone. Dmitri returns. He appeared at the villa on a Tuesday morning in week 6 with a duffel bag and a black eye and the smile of someone who had always relied on charm to get him out of trouble. Brother, he said when Alexei answered the door. I need your help. Nia watched from the kitchen window as Alexei's entire body went rigid. She had never seen him like this, not controlled, but barely controlling. You have 5 seconds to leave, Alexei said, before I call security. I'm being hunted, Alexei. The people I took the money from, they found me. They want it back with interest. If I don't pay, they'll kill me. Good, Alexei said, and started to close the door. Dmitri jammed his foot in the gap. Please. I know I don't deserve your help. I know what I did. But I'm your brother, and they're going to kill me, and I have nowhere else to go. Alexei stood in the doorway for a long moment. Then, with visible effort, 2 days. You can stay 2 days while I figure out how to pay off your debt. Then you leave Santorini and you never contact me again. Are we clear? Crystal. Dmitri grinned. Thank you, brother. Alexei let him in. When he turned and saw Nia watching from the kitchen, his expression was devastated. What Dmitri saw. He noticed immediately. Nia was serving lunch on day 2 of Dmitri's stay when he looked at her, then at Alexei, then back at her and grinned. So, Dmitri said, how long has this been going on? Nothing is going on, Alexei said coldly. She works here. That's all. Alexei, brother, I know that look. I've seen it before. Dmitri leaned back in his chair. You're in love with the help. How deliciously scandalous. Watch your mouth, Alexei said.
What?
I think it's great. She's beautiful, clearly intelligent. Excellent upgrade from Elena. Dmitri winked at Nia. Has he kissed you yet? He's very good at it. Methodical. Thorough. Dmitri. Alexei's voice could have cut glass. One more word, and you're out. Debt or no debt. Dmitri raised his hands in surrender. But he was still grinning. Later, he cornered Nia in the hallway. Advice, he said. Alexei is the best man I know. Also the most stubborn. He won't let himself have what he wants until he's convinced he deserves it. Which he never is. So, if you want him, you're going to have to make the first move. I don't want your advice, Nia said. You need it anyway. Dmitri's smile faded. I destroyed his ability to trust people. What I did, it broke something in him. He thinks everyone will betray him eventually. So, if you love him, you're going to have to prove you won't. Over and over. Until he believes it. I don't love him, Nia said. Yes, you do, Dmitri said gently. I can see it from across a room. The night, everything changed. Elena found out about the swimming lessons. Nia didn't know how. Maybe she'd been watching. Maybe Yanis had mentioned it. Maybe she'd just sensed it. She confronted Alexei at dinner on Dmitri's last night. You're teaching her to swim, Elena said. Not a question. An accusation. Yes, Alexei said. In our cove. The place you proposed to me. It's not our cove. It's my cove. And I can teach whoever I want to swim in it. You're sleeping with her. Elena's voice rose. Aren't you? The maid. You're sleeping with the help. I'm not sleeping with anyone, Alexei said with dangerous calm. And even if I were, it would be none of your business. We're not together, Elena. We haven't been for 6 months. Because you're confused. Because you're afraid. Elena stood, her voice breaking. We were perfect together. Everyone said so. And you threw it away because you got scared. I threw it away, Alexei said, standing to face her. Because I didn't love you. I cared for you. I respected you. But I didn't love you the way you deserved. And I'm not going to marry someone out of obligation. But you'll fall in love with a maid. The words hung in the air like shattered glass. Alexei looked at Nia, who was standing frozen in the dining room doorway with a wine bottle. Yes, he said quietly. Apparently I will. Elena followed his gaze. Saw Nia. Saw the way Alexei was looking at her. And understood finally that she had already lost. She left that night. Took her things. Got in her car. Drove away from the villa. And didn't look back. Dmitri left the next morning, his debt paid, with a clap on Alexei's shoulder and a promise to do better that neither of them believed. And then it was just Alexei and Nia and the impossible blue Aegean and 6 months of slow burn that was about to ignite. The first kiss. It happened 3 days after Elena left. Nia was in the cove at sunset, swimming on her own now. She'd gotten good at it, when Alexei appeared at the cliff stairs. Practicing without me, he said, wading in. You taught me well. He swam to where she was treading water. They faced each other, the sunset turning the sea around them into molten gold. I told Elena I was in love with you, he said. 3 days ago. In front of Dmitri and half the staff. I need you to know that I meant it. I know, Nia said. I also need you to know that you don't owe me anything. You work for me. There's a power imbalance. If you don't feel the same way, if this is just, if I'm making you uncomfortable, she kissed him. She closed the distance between them and kissed him in the Aegean Sea at sunset and felt him freeze for one shocked second before his arms came around her, and he kissed her back with 6 weeks of restrained want suddenly unleashed. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, he said, "You have no idea how long I've been waiting for that." "Since the first morning," she said. "The sunrise. When you stood beside me at the caldera." "Since the first morning," he agreed. "I looked at you and thought, this woman is going to ruin me. And I've spent 6 weeks being right." "Is that a complaint?" "It's a celebration." He kissed her again. "Stay, Nia. Not as staff. As whatever we're about to become. Stay past the 6 months. Stay for the summer. Stay for however long we want," she finished.
Yes.
"I'll stay." The villa became theirs. Not employer and employee. Not host and guest. Just theirs. Two people learning to trust again, slowly, carefully, with the Mediterranean as witness. Alexei taught her Greek. She taught him to cook Ghanaian jollof rice. They swam every evening. They sat on the terrace until 3 in the morning talking about everything and nothing. They woke up tangled together in his bed, their bed, with the sun streaming through the windows and the sea glittering below. Katerina cried when Nia told her officially what was happening.
Finally, she said.
"I've been watching you two dance around each other for 6 weeks. It was torture." Yana simply nodded and said, "I knew. First morning, the way he looked at you. I've never seen him look at anyone like that. It wasn't perfect. They fought sometimes, about his reluctance to introduce her to his Athens business partners, about her refusal to officially quit her job even though she wasn't cleaning anymore, about the fact that they both still had trust issues that didn't disappear just because they'd fallen in love. But they worked through it. They learned each other. They built something real from the broken pieces they'd both arrived with. 1 year later. It happened at sunset in the Cove, where he'd taught her to swim. They were floating on their backs, side by side, watching the sky turn impossible colors, when Alexei said, "I have something for you." "We're in the ocean," Nia said. "Where would you possibly have hidden something?" He grinned and dove underwater. Came up 30 seconds later with something in his hand. A waterproof box. "You prepared for this," she said. "I've been preparing for 3 months. Waiting for the right moment. Realize today there is no right moment. There's just this.
Us.
Here." He opened the box. Inside was a ring.
Simple.
Elegant. A sapphire the exact color of the Aegean. "Marry me," Alexei said. "Not because it's expected. Not because it's appropriate. But because I love you more than I thought I was capable of loving anyone. Because you see me. Because you stayed. Because I don't want to spend another day of my life not calling you my wife." Nia was crying. She didn't even try to hide it. "Yes," she said.
Yes.
"Absolutely yes." He slipped the ring on her finger in the Aegean Sea at sunset and kissed her like they had all the time in the world. Which they did. They married 3 months later. Small ceremony. Just Katerina, Yanis, a few close friends. On the terrace of Oranu with the caldera as backdrop and the Mediterranean wind carrying the scent of bougainvillea. Dmitri sent a card. No return address. Just, "Congratulations, brother. You deserve this. She's perfect. Don't screw it up." Elena sent nothing. But Nia saw her Instagram post from Paris a week later, a photo of herself with a new man, happy, moved on. She hoped it was real. Marcus had tried to contact her twice in the past year. She'd blocked him both times. That chapter was closed. This one was just beginning. After the ceremony, after the guests had left, after Katerina had cried through an entire box of tissues, Alexei and Nia stood at the caldera edge where they'd first met. "Remember the first morning?" she said. "When you said I was early? I remember everything about the first morning. I was running from heartbreak, looking for somewhere to hide." She leaned into him. "I found you instead." "I was running from the same thing," he said. "And I found you. Best discovery of my life." The sun was setting. It always was in Santorini. The sky turned gold, then pink, then the particular shade of violet that only happened here, on this island at this moment. When the sun sets on us, Nia said softly, I want to still be standing here with you, watching it happen every single day. Then that's what we'll do, Alexei said. Every single day, for the rest of our lives. And they did. This story has reached its conclusion. Thank you all for following this story. If you enjoyed it, please write in the comments where you're watching from and share your thoughts about this story. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video as your support is important for me to continue creating content. Until next time.